Welcome to the rational space. Is secularism failing in the West? It's a serious question, one that touches on identity, governance, law, belief, and the way people live together in pluralistic societies. In recent years, many have begun to question whether secularism, once hailed as a foundation for fairness and inclusion, is beginning to show signs of strain. But to really understand what's happening, we first need to ask, what is secularism, and what was it originally intended to achieve? Secularism is not a belief system. It's not a rejection of religion. It is, at its core, a principle of governance, a way to ensure that the state remains neutral in matters of religion, neither favoring nor opposing any belief system. Its purpose is to protect the rights of all people, those who practice a religion, those who practice a different religion, and those who choose not to practice one at all. By removing religious favoritism from the structures of law and government, secularism seeks to create equal treatment for all citizens. This idea is especially important in societies where people of many faiths and none live side by side. But how that principle is applied can differ widely from country to country. Let's take a closer look at some real-world models. In France, secularism is defined by a concept known as laïcité. This form of secularism emphasizes the strict separation between religion and public life. It originated in the early 20th century in response to deep tensions between the Catholic Church and the French Republic. The goal of laïcité was to protect the democratic state from religious influence, while ensuring individual freedom of belief. But in modern times, it has also been the basis for controversial policies, such as the banning of conspicuous religious symbols in public schools, including the hijab, the Sikh turban, and large Christian crosses. Supporters of these policies argue that they preserve unity and neutrality in public spaces. But critics, both inside and outside France, say that such measures disproportionately affect religious minorities and send a message that some identities are less welcome than others. So the question arises, when does state neutrality become cultural erasure? And can a society truly be inclusive if it expects individuals to leave parts of themselves at the door when they enter a public institution? Now let's look at the United States. The U.S. Constitution includes two key principles when it comes to religion. The state cannot establish a religion, and it cannot prohibit the free exercise of religion. This has created a system where people are free to express their beliefs, even in public life, as long as they are not using government power to impose those beliefs on others. This form of secularism encourages what is often called pluralism, a recognition that diverse beliefs can coexist peacefully in the same society. In the U.S., a school teacher may wear a religious symbol, a politician may speak about their personal faith, and religious communities can organize freely. These freedoms are protected by law. But even in the American context, challenges persist. Court cases frequently arise around issues like religious exemptions, healthcare mandates, and the boundaries of religious expression in schools or businesses. These debates highlight the constant tension between individual freedom and shared civic responsibilities. So again, we ask, is secularism working, or is it simply being tested in new and complex ways? Canada offers another example, one often seen as a middle path. Canadian secularism is built on the principle of constitutional neutrality, but it also incorporates a strong commitment to multiculturalism. This means that the government is expected to treat all religions equally, while also embracing cultural and religious diversity as a positive aspect of national identity. In most provinces, people are free to express their religious identity in public life, including in schools and workplaces. Religious holidays may be acknowledged in schools, dietary needs respected, and traditional clothing accepted. But even here, there are exceptions. The province of Quebec, for example, passed Bill 21, a law that prohibits certain public employees, like teachers, judges, and police officers, from wearing visible religious symbols. The law was justified on the grounds of laïcité, but it sparked widespread debate about whether this approach reflects Canadian values of inclusion. So we see that even within a single country, secularism can be understood and applied differently. To understand whether secularism is failing, we must go deeper. We need to look beyond laws and into the lived experiences of people. Across Europe and North America, some religious communities report feeling marginalized, especially when public discourse frames their faith as incompatible with modern life. Media narratives, political rhetoric, and social tensions can all shape how people experience secularism. For some, secularism feels like a protection, a safeguard against discrimination or coercion. For others, it feels like a barrier, a way of pushing faith to the margins. This divide is not always about law. Sometimes it's about tone, about culture, about whether people feel that their values, traditions, and identities are being respected. Secularism was never meant to erase religion. It was meant to create space for all people to live according to their conscience without interference or favoritism. But if the implementation of secularism leads to suspicion, misunderstanding, or exclusion, then something important has been lost. So what can be done? First, it helps to remember that secularism is not a single fixed model. It is a principle that must be shaped by the needs, histories, and cultures of each society. A model that works in one place may not fit in another. Second, it's vital that secularism remains rooted in respect, not just legal neutrality, but social respect for different ways of life. When secularism is used as a political weapon or as a way to push religion out of the public conversation, it becomes less about fairness and more about control. That is not true secularism. That is exclusion. Third, education plays a powerful role. When people understand each other's beliefs, fears, and values, they're more likely to find common ground. Schools, media, and public dialogue can help build bridges so that secularism becomes not just a law, but a shared ethic of coexistence. And finally, we should acknowledge a simple truth. Secularism, like any human system, is a work in progress. It doesn't guarantee perfect harmony, but it can offer a path, an imperfect, evolving path towards shared citizenship in a diverse world. That path depends on all of us. It depends on lawmakers who respect diversity, communities that listen with compassion, and individuals who are willing to share space peacefully with those who are different. So, is secularism failing in the West? Not necessarily, but it is being challenged, stretched, questioned. And that's not a sign of failure. That's a sign of growth. Secularism is not static. It evolves with society. The important question is not whether secularism is still useful, but whether we are still committed to its core promise: fairness, dignity, and equal rights for all. At the Rational Space, we believe that dialogue is key. That's why we explore these topics, not to take sides, but to open minds. Not to settle debates, but to ask better questions. And maybe the most important question is this: how can we build societies where people of all beliefs religious or non-religious, feel safe, respected, and free to live with integrity. Let's continue that conversation together. If you found this video meaningful, we invite you to subscribe to The Rational Space. Explore more videos that reflect on justice, society, governance, and coexistence, with reason, care, and respect at the center. Thank you for being with us. Until next time, stay thoughtful, stay kind, and stay committed to understanding. This is The Rational Space, where ideas meet civility.